Okay, so today we're going dep on some stuff happening in Portland that could actually have a pretty big impact on your real estate decisions, whether you're, thinking about buying or selling, or just, what your property value might be doing.
Exactly.
We're talking about some potential changes in commercial real estate, specifically in downtown Portland and the Lloyd District.
Right. And we're basing this on some things you all shared with us.
Yeah, stuff that's been kind of bubbling up online.
Yeah.
One is this whole thing about federal office buildings potentially going up for sale. And then the other is some news about the Ritz-Carlton downtown potentially facing foreclosure.
Yes. So two pretty significant developments, and we're trying to make sense of what they could mean.
Right. And what they could mean for the areas around them.
Exactly.
So, downtown, how does this affect the Pearl District? How does this affect Old Town?
Exactly.
So yeah, we're going to dive into all of that today.
Right.
The first piece that we're going to look at is a post from March 10th.
Okay.
And it's referencing an article that was in the Daily Journal of Commerce.
Okay.
And then the second piece that we're going to look at is a post from March 6th, which is linking to a Daily Mail piece.
Okay.
So that's what we're going deep on.
Sounds good.
All right. So let's start with these federal buildings.
Okay.
We're talking about two really prominent ones here. The Edith Green, Wendell Wyatt Federal Building is right downtown. And then also the Bonneville Power Administration headquarters over in the Lloyd District.
Yes.
And there's been a lot of back and forth online what this could mean for the city. Some people are saying this is like, kind of a weakening of the urban core.
Right.
If the federal government's pulling out of these big properties, what does that say about, the future of those areas?
Right. Is that a sign that they're not invested in the long term?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then other people are saying, well, this could be a great investment opportunity.
Yeah, exactly. It's interesting to see those two viewpoints.
Yeah. And then we've got this other layer, which is the office vacancy rate in Portland, which is already really high.
Really high, close to 30% as of the last reports.
Yeah, so that's a, pretty significant number.
It is, and it really speaks to how businesses are using space differently after the pandemic. It's not the same as it was.
Yeah, so if you add all of this office space from these federal buildings to an already, kind of oversupplied market.
Right, could that just flood the market even more?
Yeah.
And make things even harder for landlords?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the gloom and doom side of it.
Yeah.
But let's think about, you as a homeowner or a potential homeowner.
Okay. How
could this actually affect you?
Yeah, that's the real question, right?
Yeah.
How does this translate to the residential side of things?
Exactly. So one scenario that we could imagine is that, if downtown becomes less vibrant commercially, because, there's a lot of empty office space, that might make downtown living less attractive.
Yeah. And if fewer people want to live downtown, demand goes down, potentially prices could soften.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But what's the flip side of that?
Right. Well, the interesting thing is that these buildings could be repurposed.
Okay.
They call it adaptive reuse. So instead of being offices, maybe they could be converted into apartments.
Okay.
Or even retail spaces,
That's interesting.
Yeah. Inject some new life into downtown.
Right.
And if you increase the housing supply downtown, well, that could actually be a good thing for surrounding areas too.
Okay.
Like the Pearl District or Old Town, more people living downtown could mean more customers for businesses in those neighborhoods.
Yeah.
Could even help stabilize or even boost property values.
Interesting.
Yeah, it really depends on what happens with these buildings.
Right.
What kind of vision is there for their future?
Right. What actually happens to them.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on to the Ritz-Carlton.
Okay.
This news about a potential foreclosure less than 2 years after opening.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty shocking.
It's a big deal.
Yeah.
A luxury brand like the Ritz-Carlton facing those kind of financial difficulties.
Right.
It definitely makes you wonder what's going on.
Yeah, and what people are saying online is that this is directly tied to, the perception of downtown and kind of this narrative that's out there that downtown is struggling.
Right.
There's, worries about crime and homelessness and just, the pace of the post-pandemic recovery.
Right. People are worried about the direction downtown is heading.
Exactly. And so when something like the Ritz-Carlton, potentially going under, it kind of just adds fuel to that fire.
It really does. It can make people who might have been thinking about buying a condo downtown think twice
Yeah, or maybe people who own property nearby start to, get a little bit worried.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder about the resilience of that luxury market.
Yeah, especially in that central downtown area.
Yeah.
But you mentioned earlier that, there are some pockets of the city where demand is still really strong.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So if you look at areas like South Waterfront and the Pearl District, the demand for luxury properties is still there.
Okay.
Median prices are holding steady, around 510,000.
So it's not like the entire city is experiencing this downturn.
Exactly.
Right.
It seems like the very central downtown might be facing some unique challenges.
Yeah.
But the desire for high-end living in Portland overall, it hasn't gone away. It's just maybe shifting geographically.
Okay.
It's kind of fascinating.
So what do we do with all this? I mean, when we take, the potential sale of these federal buildings and this Ritz-Carlton news, what are the key takeaways for our listener?
I think the big picture is that we're seeing a more complex portrait of downtown Portland than just, simple decline.
Okay.
There are definitely some challenges.
Yeah.
Especially in the commercial real estate market. But within those challenges, there are also opportunities.
Okay.
The potential for these buildings to be reimagined.
Right.
Maybe even become catalysts for positive change. And if the market overreacts, that could create some really interesting investment opportunities as well.
Okay, so it's a dynamic situation.
It is. It's fluid.
Yeah, it's not just, a straight line down.
Exactly.
There's a lot of moving pieces.
A lot of factors at play.
Yeah. So as you're thinking about all of this, all these shifts in the commercial real estate market and these, the conversations about downtown, here's something to consider.
Okay.
What are some of the less obvious factors that might actually be the most important in shaping the long-term, vibrancy and appeal of downtown Portland and the neighborhoods around it?
Interesting question.
Yeah, it's not just about, vacancy rates and headlines.
Exactly. It's about how the city adapts.
Right.
How it evolves,
Yeah.
It's about more than just buildings. It's about the character of the city.
Right.
And how that's changing.
Exactly.
It's fascinating.
Well, thanks for diving into this with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I think this is a conversation that we're going to be continuing to have.
I think so too.
But for now, we'll leave it there.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
See you next time.
Bye.